They look like deer in the headlights. They look like they're being held hostage, had some metaphysical gun to their head. It blew up horribly in their face. Then I learned a few days ago, on some Tuesday, and I told you, I said, I heard that the FBI director and that his deputy, Bongino, are going to be on a facelift tour over the disaster that really pissed off a lot of Trump supporters, the American people. And you've now seen part of that beginning tour. It dropped earlier today, a little after 9. Joe Rogan and the FBI director, Kash Patel, the guy that helped expose Crossfire Hurricane and so much more, a loyal Trump supporter, a defender of the truth. And I got to tell you, I am more upset and pissed off than I've ever been. I'm about to destroy everything Kash Patel said.
What if I told you that the head of the FBI was lying? I know. It's not exactly newsworthy, but it is newsworthy this time, for the first time ever, because Patel and Dan Bongino are allegedly outsiders. We, being perhaps naively optimistic, we're hoping for better. You can't be as bad as the old guard. You have to be an improvement. Today, we found out that is not necessarily the case. Kash Patel went on to Joe Rogan's podcast, Joe Rogan Experience, and he looked and sounded like he was lying. So I immediately went back into the treasure trove of my memory as to what transpired with this Epstein case. And sure enough, he was lying. And I actually went back because Kash Patel rose to such prominence thanks to his podcast touring over the past 3 years before he became the head of the FBI. He is on the record talking about this case before he was the head of the FBI. That's a problem because now I have dug up video footage of what Kash Patel said before he led the FBI. And let me tell you, it's quite a bit different from what he has to say now, which means that he's lying. Let's take a look.
What about the video from the island?
Oh, that's
sorry.
So, yeah. So, again, we're going to give you everything we can. And people have to remember, we're not going to re-victimize women. We're not going to put that shit back out there. It's not happening because then he wins. Not doing it. Again, logical play out. If there.
What does that even mean? We're not going to put that shit back out there? I honestly don't know what he's even insinuating. What shit? You have nothing. The rest of this conversation, you explain that you have nothing. You have no video footage on the island. You have no one committing crimes on video at all, apparently. So what shit are you not going to put back out there? What does that even mean?
There was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island, and I'm in charge. Don't you think you'd see it?
If you have access to it.
If I have it, period.
Right.
If I have it.
No, actually. I don't think I would see it. Because if I was going to see it, I would have already. From you. So, I don't understand why you're, again, like basically riding your own coattails of your reputation before you became the head of the FBI. This is put up or shut up time, folks. You need to actually show your work. You and Dan going around saying, hey, when you see this footage, you'll know he killed himself, actually. Why don't you just fucking show it then? It's not good enough to say, if we had more, we would show it to you. You haven't shown me anything. I don't know anything new at all. You haven't shown me what you do have, so why do I have any reason to believe that you'd show me something that you haven't shown already?
Where else would it be?
Right.
Where else would it be? Let me tell you. Let me give you some options. It could be in the hands of some elite billionaire. It could be in the hands of the Central Intelligence Agency. It could be in the hands of MI5 or Mossad or some other intelligence agency. Or it could be in your fucking hands. Hello? I have no reason to know or to believe that just because you don't have it, it doesn't exist. Nor do I have any reason to believe that you don't have it. I have no reason to believe anything you're saying. Take a look at his mannerisms through this.
If I have it. If I have it.
So
Where else would it be?
Right.
No, we're giving you everything we have.
So far.
Everything we have so far is
Have
the
you guys
universe.
gone over all the video that's available?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. That's what takes so much damn time.
That's what I'm telling you. That's what takes so much damn time. The implication being that you have a ton of video to go over. Do you have a lot of video or don't you? Because you have no video on the island. All you have is this boring multi-hour footage of the hallway outside of his jail cell, and that's it. And by the way, you had just, not you, but the widely reported facts of this case were that the footage from that hallway, that very hallway that you're saying you have so much footage that you have to go through, and that's what's taking so much damn time, even though that's apparently the only fucking footage you have, that footage didn't exist for the past 5 years. Anybody else seeing a problem here? You had 5 years that we're being told this footage doesn't exist, and now you say it does exist, and now you're saying that's all that exists, and now you're saying, but it takes fucking so much time to go through this footage? Do you not see the conflict in this messaging? Just in case you think that's not enough conflict, let's hear what the Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi, has to say that goes in direct contravention of what you're saying here.
Again, logical play out. If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
Tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of victims. And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume. And that's what they're going through right now.
You've got to be kidding me. Attorney General Pam Bondi says we have tens of thousands of videos. Kash Patel says we have one video, but it's taking us so much damn time to go through it. Hello? This is totally conflicting. This is contradictory reporting. And these are the top law enforcement officials in the country. At least Kash Patel is the head of the FBI. She's the top attorney. They don't even have their messaging straight. If you're going to do a cover-up, you're going to have to do a better job. This is quite obviously a cover-up at this point. And I don't say that lightly. I tried my best to give grace to these people, to say, look, you're coming into an incredibly corrupt institution. I'm going to have to give you some leeway by which you can actually remedy things, that you can actually seek out the truth. You're not giving me the truth. Clearly. This is obviously bullshit. Obviously. So you're going to have to do better. And at this point, I don't have any faith that you will. Because at this point, you're blatantly lying.
Let's get into that. So what did you think before you got in office? Did you think that Epstein was murdered?
No.
No suspicion at all of it?
But I have a different background.
Record scratch, freeze frame. Let me show you what he had to say in 2022.
Did Jeffrey Epstein kill himself? Who killed Jeffrey Epstein?
I've spent a lot of time in federal detention facilities as a public defender before, talking to my clients. So I know how those work. He was in isolation. He was in a unit where he's in there not just to protect himself, but he's in there to protect the rest of the prison population because he was such a high profile case. What happens is in these units, there's supposed to be 24/7 guard duty on him directly. And from what I was able to learn in the lead up to his suicide is the guard fell asleep. I don't really buy that, but it's almost impossible to prove otherwise unless you can obtain the videotape. And usually there isn't video looking into people's cells for a lot of reasons. And so we're stuck with that narrative. And do you know what happened to these guards? Supposedly they were going to get charged, but I've never heard anything that happened to these prison guards.
It seems really ridiculous to me that the media wants us to believe that this is actually what happened.
It's like when you're in that kind of confinement, we call it solitary confinement, you're not supposed to have these things that you are able to hang yourself with. That's the whole point of the strict rules in there. You're not supposed to have 6 feet of cloth that you can dangle from the ceiling so you can hang yourself. This is prison 101.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. This doesn't look right. It doesn't look like a suicide. But is this Justice Department going to investigate it? Probably not.
Kash Patel in 2022. Doesn't look like a suicide to me. Kash Patel in 2025. It was definitely a suicide. Trust me, bro. There you go, folks. Make up your mind. Decide which version of Kash Patel you believe. Because I'll tell you my answer. It's the old one. It's the prior version of him before he was in government position and apparently was obligated to lie to us.
Most Americans haven't, nor should they. Have you ever spent 1 minute in segregated housing?
No.
It's the worst, the absolute worst. Like, you and your background, you could probably handle, right? Just in all reality, most Americans, you put them in there for 5 seconds, they're going to slam their head against the wall. Literally, they're going to lose their mind.
Methinks he doth protest too much. He's so obviously trying to convince us of the inevitability that this guy had to have done it. If you were in there for 5 seconds, you'd immediately smash your head against the wall. No, you wouldn't. Maybe if you're in there for a few weeks, sure, it's possible. But the hyperbole is not helping you out, bud. You got to be straight with us. The allegations that Jeffrey Epstein was on suicide watch, from what I've looked into, that was actually a consequence of him being assaulted by a cellmate, this gigantic man that looked very capable of leaving those ligature marks across his neck if he was able to get his hands on him. Now, I'm not saying he did that. I don't know. But there's definitely reason to believe that this man's life was under threat. And the fact that Kash Patel is not acknowledging that reality, the fact that he's not willing to say just flatly, obviously, this guy, given the nature of the operation he was running, the extraordinarily powerful people that were clients of Epstein and Maxwell, of course, there would be a major incentive, a major motivation to try and silence this guy. And guess what? You're in this position thanks to all of the people in my world that were saying, yes, Kash and Dan, this is going to be amazing. You're now in that position to try and deliver the truth on this, and you are absolutely not doing so. I am 100% convinced that you are lying about this issue. Now, I don't know if you've been threatened. I don't know if you're being blackmailed. I don't know if you're being coerced, or that you're just a scumbag and you lied to me when I met you. I don't know if I've told you guys this before on this program, but I did a panel at Freedom Fest less than a year ago. It was actually the day of the attack in Butler, Pennsylvania. I was on stage at Freedom Fest, myself, Brett Weinstein, Angela McCardle, and Kash Patel, which, by the way, I'll be at Freedom Fest in Palm Springs a week from now if you guys want to come say hi. But I was there last year, 11 months ago, almost to the day. The name of the panel was How to Defeat the Deep State. And I'm like, this guy's awesome. I had no idea that he was in the running to be the head of the FBI, but he was obviously a truth teller on a multitude of topics prior to this. And I was very impressed with the guy. I only spent an hour with him, so I'm not going to go to the mat on his character, but he didn't come across as sketchy. He came across as very much in the know and very much prepared to root out the corruption that existed within the deep state. That was the entire reason he was on the panel. And he had a lot of good answers. That guy then versus this guy now, two totally different people. And the energy is different too. I just want to be very clear about that. The guy that I knew then, I didn't know him well, but the guy that I knew back then was confident. He spoke with kind of a self-assuredness. This version of him comes across as a bullshitty version of that. And that's all I can say. That kind of my intuition about how his behavior has changed, how his rhetoric has changed, his body language has changed, and contrasting that with the facts about this case tells me everything I need to know. He's lying.
So this narrative might not be accurate, that there's video of these guys doing this.
Exactly.
Have you guys reviewed everything that you have?
Yes, we have. And now we're figuring out how to put it out.
But is there footage?
If there was footage of anyone doing anything else, we would have opened a case. If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
No, I don't think I would see it. And that's extraordinarily disappointing. My reach is minimal, but I feel like I did put a little bit of my reputation on the line in boosting you for this role. In the Senate confirmation process, I was like heavy on Twitter going, got to confirm RFK Jr., Tulsi, Kash, Dan. I was definitely fanboying a little bit just because I thought that you were our best chance of getting the truth on this case. And one of the most important cases next to COVID justice and Fauci, I'm not sure that there's anything more important than finding out who was responsible for the largest trafficking ring. And you're letting me down, and you're letting the country down, and you're letting your supporters down. You're letting America down. And I'm not going to mince words about it. It's a tremendous disappointment. And honestly, you ought to be ashamed. And as I said, I don't know the reason why. I don't know if you've been threatened, in which case I do have some sympathy for that, but it doesn't change the reality that you are now touring around and pathologically lying about this case. Pathologically lying.
Will you work with me on this issue so we know who worked with Jeffrey Epstein in building these sex trafficking rings?
Absolutely, Senators. Child sex trafficking has no place in the United States of America, and I will do everything, if confirmed as FBI director, to make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened in the past and how we are going to countermand missing children and exploited children.
Thank you.
I very much like that version of Kash Patel, the one that during the Senate confirmation hearing process was telling, yeah, I'm going to work with the Senate. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that justice is sought and delivered upon.
Do you remember that HBO autopsy show? Dr. Michael Baden, he's a famous forensic scientist. He's a pathologist, and he reviewed the case, and it was his determination that it was a homicide because of the way his neck was broken. What he said was it was indicative of a ligature strangulation, and it was because of the positioning on the neck where the marks were, that it wasn't indicative of someone hanging by their weight, which had been higher on the chin. And there's a specific break of the bones and the vertebrae that's consistent with someone who is just strangled to death.
I haven't seen it. I'll definitely take a look at it because that's part of my job.
You
But-
haven't seen that?
The report on
Yeah.
that? No, I haven't looked at that.
So one of the most widely reported facts, it's a fact that this in fact happened. Dr. Baden sat in on the actual autopsy in New York at the behest of Jeffrey Epstein's brother. Now, obviously, Jeffrey Epstein's brother employed him to do that because he doubted that they would get a honest answer as to the cause of death. And Dr. Baden concluded that thanks to the 3 breaks in his neck, as well as the ligature marks, that in fact he was strangled, that he did not take his own life, that it was a homicide. I'll be very honest about this. I have no idea if Dr. Baden is correct. I wish I had footage that could prove it definitively. But I will say, based off of his findings, his analysis of the autopsy report, and his claims in contradiction of it, I think that it's more likely. And Kash Patel in 2022, he's saying there's no reason that you would have given sheets that would enabled Jeffrey Epstein to do, particularly if he's on watch, right? There's also no reason to believe that those guards would fall asleep, according to 22 version of Kash Patel. 25 version of Kash Patel goes, I have footage that confirms that they, in fact, fell asleep. And then Rogan goes, can you actually confirm that they fell asleep? And he goes, I can't be certain. It's just video. So who knows? It's just like, these are polar like 180-degree versions of himself. This is just obviously a contradiction of what he had to say prior on so many levels. And then the real smoking gun here is Attorney General Bondi lying about these tens of thousands of tapes and how it's all with children, and that's why it's taking so long, because that's her claim as to the delay. Or is Kash Patel lying? And I think that at this point, we have to assume that Kash Patel's lying. We have to assume it. And I think that there's lots of great reasons to conclude that. And I've already shown you all of the ones necessary to really come to that conclusion. And I'm disappointed as hell. And I think that at this point, it's clear to me that he's lying about this case. And if you're going to be a liar on one case, I have no reason to believe that you're going to be honest on others. That's the truth. And if I expect, like, he came out today, I'm not even going to show you the clip because who gives a shit? He came out today and he says that they have found Anthony Fauci's phone from during the lockdown era and that they are scraping it or ripping all of the data off of it and that they're going to analyze it and see if he knowingly lied to the American people about lockdowns and efficacy and safety and everything else. If I had any reason to believe you at all, if I had any reason to believe that you would actually risk something to deliver justice, because at this point, if you've already proven that you will not risk something to deliver justice on a child trafficking ring, why would I believe that you'd risk something to deliver justice on this? And I don't believe it. And I don't think anyone should. So I'm right on the precipice. I don't want to do it because it seems so audacious, but like, you ought to resign. You should. You and Bondi and Bongino. You've all let us down. You've all disappointed us in ways that are so profound and deep that I don't think that this can be repaired. I'll give you this. You've got less than a month to actually give me the truth on this shit and to say, oh, we just found all of this additional information and everything I said on Rogan was wrong. If you do that, all right, we're back in business. And if you don't, just resign, dude. This is hugely important. This is why you're there. This is what got you there. Have you no shame, sir? It's pathetic. But you guys let me know. Did I get it wrong? Am I being too hard on him? Should I trust the plan? Should I give him more time? How many years should he have before I conclude that this guy's full of shit? You tell me. Drop it in the comments below. If you enjoyed the analysis, please do hit the like button and subscribe. Before I get out of here, as you've noticed, the sign has changed. There used to be neon lights down below that were never lit up. The reason that they were never lit up is that once I moved here and set up the studio, I slid my chair back and I cracked the fucking lights and it broke right away. I got to give a huge shout out and a huge thank you to fan of the show and obvious, very high quality woodworker and sign maker over at American Pegasus, as a thanks to them for remedying my sign issues and giving me something that looks presentable for you guys. If you're interested in getting some signs, I'm going to do a quick ad read for them free of charge because I really appreciate what they did. Discover American Pegasus. It's at American Pegasus on Instagram and browse on AmericanPegasusShop.com for top-notch wood signs and art crafted by the creator behind the iconic Part of the Problem and Liberty Lockdown podcast signs. Each piece is a unique work of art that adds personality and style to any room. Also, follow at American Woodbro on X for exclusive updates. Transform your home or studio with the distinctive touch of American Pegasus, where your ideas take shape in wood. Thank you, American Pegasus. Seriously, you guys rock. I was so sad when I broke that fucking light, and now I have a fully functioning sign again. So thank you again, man. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Views are crazy up, and it's all because you guys keep spreading the word. If you ever don't have an opportunity to watch me in video version, wherever you're watching right now, please do subscribe on YouTube and audio podcatchers. It's just Liberty Lockdown. Search it, subscribe. And while you're at it, pick up your niece and nephew and grandma and uncle and grandpa and daughter and child and nephew and baby's phones. If your baby has a phone, you have bigger problems. But pick up everyone you know's phone and just subscribe to Liberty Lockdown. Click auto update for new episodes when they come out. And then just red pill your entire friends and family. We're out of here. Peace.